Operation status quo. Operation status quo. Prepare to engage. Operation status quo. Ready to engage. Operation status quo. Engage. Engage. Hello, how do you do? It's so great to be here with you on a Thursday afternoon. Well, that's what time it is right now anyway. It is a Thursday afternoon here for me, ladies and gentlemen, on the East Coast of the United States of America, while it still is the United States of America. You know, by the way, here we go on a tangent before I even do any kind of introduction. I did hear that, there's potential down the line of some states seceding from the union. I know, of course, Texas has been trying to do this probably for God knows how long. But that'd be a great day, too, right? Because then it'll be like America will be kind of like how Europe is. You know, you go into Germany, you go into France, you go into all the countries that are over there. It'll be like that here. It's like, each state be its own country, or groups of states together will be countries. That'll be kind of neat, don't you think? So that's one of the reasons I'm so glad I got out of one of those crazy, I don't even want to get political on it, but those kind of states. Came down here to Florida, where we enjoy freedom. Freedom. Well, hold on a second. I was talking to someone today, and they were asking me why I moved to Florida. And it's funny because I said, well, because I never want to really kind of get into it that way, but I just kind of said, well, you know what? I'm just going to say it, because damn it, these stupid, I'm sorry, I don't want to be rude. I don't mean it that way, but this darn COVID hoax and these darn masks and all the lockdowns and the restrictions they put on people. No way, Jose. Matter of fact, I met a lot of Jose's down here in Florida. Hey-o. Ladies and gentlemen, how we doing out there today? I love you guys. You're beautiful people. I thank you so much for being here, as I do all the time. It's really great. It's really great to have the opportunity to share with you, the beautiful people of the world, whatever quirky nonsense is going on inside my brain. But, it's for the good of humanity. I can't help it. This is how God made me. This is why I'm here on this earth, to be, some sort of, kind of, see what I'm doing? I'm just trying to be here for you, and helping you the best I can with just some positive vibes, some positive thoughts, and some encouragement to be your best self, because that's what it's all about, and that's what Operation Status Quo is all about. I am Pete Palmer, your user-friendly host. I am broadcasting live from the comfy confines of my very own home here in beautiful Florida, on the Gulf side, Why am I so silly? I don't understand it myself. Should I be having this much fun when I'm talking to myself? But I'm really not talking to myself. I'm talking to you, and I know that. Yeah, even though that I might not be able to see you right now. I probably would never really see you, but, you're seeing me, which is great. We're halfway there. I see you. You see me. And the look in your eyes. Oh, girl. Remember that song? Got to know. Hey-o. All right. Anyway, I don't know what the hell's happening. This is Operation Status Quo. If you haven't been here before and you're here right now, my God, what has happened to your life? How have you fallen so far? Why are you here? No, seriously, I appreciate it, and I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad I'm here too, But this is Operation Status Quo, and this is the place where we observe the status quo of life. We learn to flow with the status quo of life, and then, of course, we create our own flow of quo-yo, because that's the only way to go. So first and foremost, I'd like to let you know, I just caught myself saying first and foremost. When I watched back the show from yesterday, I heard myself say first and foremost. And I said, I wonder if I say that all the time. Now I just caught myself saying it again. So it's 2 days in a row. I got to write this down. Don't say first and foremost. But you guys are the most important part of what goes on here, really, right? Because that's why I'm here, to, send messages out to you. I mean, I can just talk to myself all day, which I kind of do. And then I come sit here and I talk to you for about 20 minutes or so each and every day. Well, most days of the week. But anyway, did I say this is a place we observe status quo of life, then we learn to flow status quo? Did I say all that right? Yeah, I did say that. But you guys, it's important to, I appreciate you being here. It's all about really encouraging people to, believe in themselves, feel happy, and just, we can observe. We can observe what's going on in the world, but it doesn't mean we have to give into it and be sucked in by it. We can observe it, we can mitigate our way around it, and then we create our own flow of quo. That's what we do here on Operation Status Quo, right? We just kind of learn to empower ourselves, and we pay attention to what's going on out in the world, but then we make our own decisions because obviously those that are trying to make decisions for us are not doing a very good job at all. So why would we give our lives away to these goofy people when we can choose ourselves? At least if we screw it up, we did it on our own, right? I mean, I think it's a lot more empowering that way. So today is the 28th of September in the good year 2023, ladies and gentlemen, and today's program is entitled Inconvenience of Convenience. And yesterday when I was watching the news and I heard about what was going on in Philadelphia, my hometown, Philadelphia, when I heard about the looting and the robberies down Center City, I guess, going through all these stores and how they were robbing everything, I just thought to myself, it kind of gave me this whole concept. First of all, before I even get into to that part, I just got to say this is funny. One of the other shows I watch, I mention here all the time, the Canadian Prepper. If you haven't watched his show, he's fun to watch, and really some great information if you're interested in learning about being a prepper, and especially if you're really worried about nuclear Armageddon, he really gets heavy on that. So you can watch, but he's enjoyable and he does a great job and nice production, and he has a variety of content. So, but anyway, he was doing a show. I guess it was last night's episode that he did, and he was talking about this stuff in Philadelphia, and he's trying to say, if you're a prepper out there, you still have time to get your stuff because these people were looting the stores, but they were taking phones and liquor, and everything else, like, from Target and everything. But they didn't raid the grocery stores. When you think about it, right? And it kind of made me think it's funny because that really should be the first thing people raid. Like, why are we bothering to raid for, these goofy items in these other stores, some shoes or a pair of pants? I don't know. I mean, we need clothes, but I mean, food makes a lot of sense. Why would you go through all the effort of raiding these stores and not, bust in the Whole Foods or something and get yourself like 200 pounds of wild caught salmon, from the freezer in the back? So, I don't know. So I would do. And then on top of it, if they're out there and they're looting the stores, I would think while they're doing the looting, they probably get hungry a little bit, right? So, I mean, why not take the time while in the process of looting to hit a couple food stores on the way? But anyway, that's all that. But this is what kind of made me, and he was funny the way he said, like, it's like, oh, you still got a chance because these knuckleheads are stealing iPhones and liquor. Oh man, but. So the concept behind what I wanted to talk about today, basically, is the realization, ladies and gentlemen, of how our cities have been built, how our structures, as far as our shopping and such, have been designed, that we are basically in a prison. You know that song by System of the Down? They're building us a prison. They're building us a prison to live in. They're building us a prison. That's basically what it really is. They're building us a prison to live in, and and I know I've kind of mentioned this in certain regard other times. They've taken, from our natural humanity and our natural connection to Earth and everything else, they've taken every part of it away from us little by little. They've taken us growing our own food out of our hands. They've taken us even being in touch with the Earth, right? If you go to these cities, everything's concrete, all over the place, tall buildings blocking out the sun. So it's almost like anything they can do to take humanity away. But I made a couple notes about this when I was thinking of it last night. So let me pull them up so I could try to stay on some sort of track here, because you guys know how my brain works. And what I do think, first and foremost, did I say that already? Didn't I just talk about first and foremost? First and foremost, I'll say it again because it's important. I do believe. Oh, that's what I wanted to say earlier about you guys. See how my brain goes? It's so crazy. Why can't I stick to one point? You guys are important. That's why you guys are here. And I want you to know your participation. That's what I wanted to say before, then I got off topic again. Your participation is encouraged. So, feel free to leave comments or like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. And let me know what's on your mind. You're welcome to be a guest here on the show as well if you'd like to. And you're also welcome to share ideas that you would like me to talk about, like some topics or whatever. So, feel free to engage. That's what Operation Status Quo, engaged, right? So engage with Operation Status Quo. So let's get back to the point here. I'm going to try to keep my brain. I need like blinders for my brain. You know how they put the blinders on the horse so it doesn't see something out of the corner of its eye and go crazy, right? I just need some sort of blinders on my brain to keep one thought on track for just like 5 minutes. If I could just do that. Anyway, so in Philadelphia, obviously, I believe that these type of events that happen are organized, right? This is not haphazard. They said it was organized on social media. You got I don't want to put down the people that, whatever. Long story short is like, I don't think that they're figuring this out on their own is all I mean. And you see what's happening in multiple cities. Obviously, this was an incident in Philadelphia, but this has been going on for a long time. Like in San Francisco, it's been going on. Chicago, I mean, New York, right? So I mean, this has been going on. And I really looked at it this way last night when I saw the story with Philadelphia, and I said to myself, you know what? Like, from this crazy cabal that's like, running the world and trying to trap humanity and keep us weak and everything else, I almost look at it as like a retreat. I look at it in two ways. Like it's a retreat because they can't sustain anymore, right? But I also look at it as it's a positive. Like it's a positive that the cities are being destroyed, because the cities were designed to keep us enslaved, right? So and for us to get through this time and into what's coming next, we're going to have to witness the destruction of what's currently going on in the world, however that may be. So again, everything has to play out, right? Guys, I talk about this all the time, that I believe we're essentially watching a show overall. Like, there's bigger things happening beyond where we are. So everything's kind of playing out in ways that the public can get their heads around stuff. So, I mean, to me, seeing like the looting and the rioting, it's because I'm thinking first of all, I'm thinking of like my grandparents, especially when they were in Philadelphia. It was like downtown Philly was high end, it was a great place to be. I know how my mother was raised and how she feels about, the city itself. And then I think about myself. I used to work down in Philly, down at 19th and Market, for some years in my 20s, and I was in the city a lot, and I would go down to the city for different things for a lot of now, like with all this kind of stuff happening the way it is, like no one even wants to go to the cities anymore, right? And then even if you're there, like the last time I was in Philly was like, I guess some months before I moved down here to Florida, and it was just like such a different vibe down there. Like it seemed so desolate. Like I was waiting for to see like the the tumbleweed like to blow across. I mean, there were people and all, but it wasn't the same vibrancy in a sense. It was more like a depleted, like, I don't know. It wasn't like an alive, active city. It was just more like, whatever deplorables are left, to feed off whatever's there. Because that's what's so interesting about it. Like, especially a place like, I'm speaking of Philadelphia, but, New York, any of these places, right? If you're going to have a store downtown Manhattan or in downtown Philly or wherever, you're going to have these kind of stores. A lot of your business is predicated on, all the corporations and the business workers and the office buildings and all that. So, nobody's like, those buildings are half full at best, and, people are only coming in 1 or 2 days a week sometimes. It's never went back, or never will go back, thank God, to the way it was before. So, there's not the same. There's not the same of anything. There's not the same capacity to maintain business because there's not the people there. There's not enough capacity to maintain order in a way because there's, the structures aren't in place. So first of all, I do think these things are done orchestrated on purpose, from higher up levels, obviously to instill fear in people, but it also gives excuses for, these businesses to pull out. But that's the thing, because, like I talk about this all the time, they're not going to ever be able to just come out and tell you, Walmart, deals, their biggest business is human trafficking or something like that. It's not going to come out that way, but they can start shutting down stores in different places, because really, on the other side of it, like if you want to look at it this way, the good guys in charge that are, fighting this battle, that are trying to help liberate, humanity, that instead of coming out and saying things in a certain way, little bits just kind of start shutting down, but they shut down under the guise of something else. So, they raid all these stores, rob them out. And then it gives the businesses, plenty of excuses to say it's not safe. I guess even Target was on there listed as like, I know Target was one of the stores attacked in Philly, but like I know Target's like closing down a bunch of their stores in different cities and such, right? So let me see if I what else I had noted here. Right, okay, that's what I wanted to get into next. So. And I've said this before as well, I think the important part for us to realize, especially in our day-to-day life, it's great that we have this global kind of world in a way that, in certain regards, right, that it's There's convenience. That's why I'm saying the inconvenience of convenience, because what we consider convenient, that we can walk into a 7-Eleven or I don't know, whatever store you want to walk into for something quick, or any of the chain stores, like I said, Walmart, Target, any Home Depot, any of these type of places, they're convenient, right, to go get what we need or what we want. But at the same time, like that level of control over merchandise, products, everything really takes all the power out of our hands, because at the end of the day, they're the ones that control everything, right? Even your food, like I always say this about Whole Foods. You go to Whole Foods and you think you eat the healthiest stuff you can eat or whatever. You don't really know where. I mean, unless you grew it yourself and you know the soil and you planted the seeds and you did it yourself. I mean, how do you really know what chemicals are in anything or what was sprayed? I don't care if they say it's organic. I mean, I hope it is, but you know what I mean? So the more we give to that system, the less we have control on our own terms to engage life, basically. I mean, the life is kind of, we're kind of just living through, the maze of their convenience, So, and really, it's inconvenient. Their convenience is really inconvenient. And what I believe is happening, and what I think is important to happen, as much as we have this technology that we can connect globally, which will stay with us, right? We're going to have that technology. We'll connect globally. We'll still be able to travel wherever and all that kind of stuff. But I think we really need to think locally as far as our day-to-day life goes. And I'm a real big advocate on building communities locally. Not that I do anything. Let's give ourselves a round of applause. I'm a big advocate. They all know me down here in Florida. I'm always building communities. But what happened there? I believe in building communities. I'm open to it. Like, it's not really going to take effect until there's going to have to be some sort of breaking point. Like, these are all just little steps that are going on, but there'll be like a breaking point at some point where the system itself just no longer sustains. And then people will be forced to be like, well, crap, what do I do now? I want to eat. Well, I guess I'm going to try to grow a cucumber or something, So, I think we'll get back to that. And I think, again, saying that this is a system, this prison system that they've built for our convenience, really for their convenience to keep us penned in like slaves, but has taken us, and the technology on top of it and the way that's promoted really has taken people away from, connecting with each other on a real human level. So, all of a sudden, what was that? It was in Cable Guy. Remember the movie Cable Guy with Matthew Broderick and Jim Carrey? I love that movie. It's just one of my favorites. But in the movie, they're all watching TV at the end, when Jim Carrey jumps off that thing and lands on the satellite dish, and, the TV goes out, and they're showing all these people watching TV because they're giving a verdict on this case. This case was going on, and is the guy going to be guilty or not guilty? And they're showing the verdict is about to hit, and everybody's watching TV, and then Jim Carrey winds up landed on the satellite, and all the TVs go out, right? So all of a sudden everybody's just watching the snow channel, right? So and then so it's the one guy sitting there, and he just decides to turns on the light, and he picks up a book, and he just starts looking at the book and reading the book. And I always remember that, because that's kind of like the way our world is. We're so engaged with the television, with mainstream media narrative crap, the stories in Hollywood, the this, the that, and we never come back inside here, right? Reflect or be in silence or any of that type of thing. And going back to basically what I'm saying about, what's going on now is kind of pushing us back in a good way, I think, of realizing, listen, we can't depend on, these kookadoos to do anything for us. We're going to have to start learning how to do things ourselves. And excuse me, I think it's important. Like I have ideas in my head of different skill sets that I never really had before that I want to engage in and start to learn, especially growing food. I've spoken on this before. Not to get into the whole story of I'm not doing it right this second, but I should at least go buy like a pot or something, and plant a tomato or just try and start, right? But I always think, once I have a spot where I have a little bit of backyard where I could, start, then I'll do it. But you know how it goes. But the long story short is we might be forced to do it sooner than we think. We'll all be outside gnawing on the bark on the trees once the system shuts down. But So just to kind of reiterate here towards the end, I think everything that is happening is a good thing. When I see, I know it looks horrible, right? You see they're smashing up stores and they're running around, and it's just insanity. You can't even imagine what kind of level of people even engage in these type of things. But when they're setting stuff up and saying, "Here's a few bucks, we're gonna drop you off through a couple vans or buses, and just go crazy and have a good time." It's like, don't worry if you get arrested, we'll bail you out. So but I think it's done in a way, and even if I'm wrong on that, like even if it wasn't orchestrated, or if it's not, it's not done, in a sense of trying to get people to turn away from the cities and start to reflect in other ways, even if that's not the case, either way, it's a symptom or a sign of the idea that what was is no more, essentially, as far as our mainstream 3D paradigm construct that we've been used to for these past so many generations. Who would ever think and I'm 50, so if you're younger, maybe different perspective, but if you're my age, a little younger, older, whatever, I mean, whenever in your life did you think you would see this kind of stuff going on? It's just like absolutely beyond, right? That it's even happening. Something like, how can these people even run through all these cities, even in San Francisco, what's going on between the homeless and everything else? I mean, like, how did it ever get here? And that's why I personally think it's orchestrated, because it just wouldn't happen, right? I mean, like, go back into the 80s or 90s and get a group of people on a bus to come through, and try to loot those stores. I mean, I don't know. Like a SWAT team would be there and probably kill them all. Or they would be scooping all these homeless people off the street in San Francisco, and they wouldn't be letting them build all these camps and everything else that's going on. So I believe it's systematic destruction of I don't even want to say it like, destruction in a sense, but dismantling. Let's say it like that. Maybe it's a systematic, purposeful dismantling of that paradigm, and it has to be done because as humanity grows in consciousness and as we're going into this new space, the vibrations, the energies of that new space can no longer support, the energies and the vibrations of what we've been through. And it started, it's really been going on for a while, but really, the COVID hoax, started everything. And, and, as far as, taking us over the waterfall in a way. We were all in the barrel, and then that the COVID thing came up, and we all went over the falls in the barrel. And but I think we're going to make it. I definitely believe we're going to make it, and I think it's going to be great stuff. And I do think it is, can't say it will be, it is difficult, right? We're all living in these times. We see it's beyond, like I said. So, try to wrap your brain around watching everything fall apart. I see how much more difficult it is, like for like somebody like my mother who's older, and, and she can't even, I try to explain to her, don't worry about it. And, she's still kind of fixated on, some of the, just not being able to break free in certain regard of letting go of, what was, and just build something new. But, listen, it is what it is. We're all on our own journeys, and, we all have, if I was older, I probably would be that way too. If I was part of that generation, and I would have a whole different set of life experience, right? So I would be perceiving the situation differently. But unfortunately for me, I am who I am, and I'm perceiving it the way I perceive it. And that allows me to express this line of thought to you. And I always say, like, don't be scared of anything. Like, I know what it looks like. Be smart. Protect yourself. Don't put yourself in situations, in spaces where these kind of things potentially could occur. I mean, obviously, this kind of stuff can happen anywhere, anytime. I mean, that's the whole point of why they do. They want to keep you in constant fear. They want you afraid to go out. They want you afraid to do anything. They just want you to depend on the system. But as much as they're trying to maintain control, I feel it's really just kind of slipping through the cracks, slipping through their fingers. And, these are all just parts. These cities are never going to go back to what they were. First of all, the office buildings are never going to be full again, because that stuff's all, there's the way of working and the different concept. It's all just changed. So it's never going to go back to that. It's never going to be that hustle and bustle the way it was before. So, I look at it as a good thing. I just, just encourage people to, be mindful, be present, and just when you see everything happening like this, just, look at it as more steps towards, freedom. And I really do see it as like as a retreat from the the quote unquote bad guys. Didn't we just say yesterday about whether there's any good or bad? But anyway, from the quote unquote bad guys, because it's almost like if I don't know, like if you were in a war, right, or something, and I don't know, your base is about to be taken over, you blow up all your own equipment before you let the other people get their the enemy get the hands on it, right? So they Target and Home Depot, I mean all these places, I mean they'd rather destroy themselves, in a sense, but it's orchestrated, but destroy themselves before we destroy them in a way by instead of us as consumers being like, we're not dealing with you anymore and stop shopping there, they can destroy themselves and go, oh, you see, there was so much crime. We had to shut down the stores and do. But either way, it's all pushing us to the same direction. Think locally, think community, think of building your skills, to be as self-sufficient as possible. I talked earlier in the week about being self-reliant, right? So, I would encourage everybody just to see things in that way. And it's beautiful times. Yeah, it's definitely beautiful times, ladies and gentlemen. And just to finish, aside from stores that are pulling out of cities because of things like this going on, there's a long list of stores that have like way record low profits, over the past year or whatever, like Bed Bath and Beyond and Home Depot, and I think even like CVS and just different places like they're just having, people don't, they don't tell you anything on the news. No one wants to give into this system anymore. I don't want to, unfortunately I do go to, I have to go to stores, right? But I would like to not go to Walmart ever, and I never did when I was living up north. But unfortunately down here, it's a little more just the way the store, for what I need and blah, 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 certain things, I do wind up going to Walmart once in a while. And I'm ashamed of myself. I want you to know I'm ashamed of myself. I don't even want to, don't look at me. Don't look at me. I'm not worthy, but it's all going in a different direction. So, we'll get back to like the local people, the local farmers, grow your own food, just all that kind of stuff, So even with housing, it's like you buy a house, but you don't really own it in a way because the state still has regulations and everything on it, and or you belong to an HOA and you got to answer to them and all this kind of stuff. It's just, it's everybody's got their hands in your shit. That's what I can't stand about the way our world is. There's always their hands in your shit. And anytime you try to get something or, do a business, do anything, they're always taking. And, and that's what we're getting away from. They've got the debt-based socioeconomic slave system, it's just, it's a prison, this damn life that they got going on for us. But we are breaking out of prison. We're all going to be jailbirds pretty soon. Okay. All right. So that's what I got for you here today, ladies and gentlemen, on Operation Status Quo. Please feel free to drop your comments in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. Let me know what's on your mind out there. And if you haven't done so already, I encourage you to please like, subscribe, share, send this out to your friends, family, those you love, and of course, those you despise as well. I love each and every one of you out there individually as well as a group. And until tomorrow, Operation Status Quo, disengaged.